Hey guys, what's going on? Tom here with another tutorial type thing, and it's been a while since I did one of these really, but this is a very cool tutorial. It's a Minecraft set extension tutorial. The tips and stuff I'm going to teach you here doesn't have to be Minecraft, just any type of 3D set extension that matches your camera. Before we start, just a few points. If I had to rank this tutorial, it would definitely be on advanced. It has a lot of concepts, a lot of techniques. It's gonna take a while to match everything, get it looking pretty much perfect. I mean, obviously it's not gonna be great since I'm doing a tutorial here, but if you spend time on it, it's gonna look really good. And the second thing is, since I haven't done this for a while, my throat, it's just not prepared to talk for like 25 minutes or however long this is gonna be. It's gonna take a while, but you know what? Sometimes it's worth it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start in After Effects, and let's just close XSplit for now. Okay, so we're gonna start off by getting our footage in here. I'm gonna make a new composition with it, and here is our footage. It's me just kind of going around a bench, or not really a bench, in a bench area. Yeah, so a few important things about this shot. Most importantly, it's moving in 3D, which means we can't just take a picture and motion track it on, because this isn't 2D motion, this is 3D motion. So yeah, that really complicates things. And the second thing you might want to notice is that there's very minimal motion blur, and that's because I shot it on a shutter speed of 1/400 or so. So basically, if you don't know what that means, you might want to look up some camera stuff, but basically reduce motion blur for an easier time with this effect. Okay, so just find the in and out points of your footage. I think I'm going to use the whole thing, and this step's optional, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to add a noise reduction effect to this. You can use any noise reduction thing. I'm going to use Neat Video. I'm going to put a tutorial on this later, but you don't need to do this, so I'm not really going to go into detail about how this works. There we go. So you see, without noise reduction, with noise reduction, pretty subtle, but it will definitely help with tracking. Okay, so once you're like pretty much good with your footage, just review it once or twice. Yeah, also try to reduce camera shake if you can, although sometimes camera shake can make it look pretty cool if you motion track it correctly. Okay, so before we export, just check your frame rate, 29.97 for me. Yours can be different, but once you know that, just pre-render it. And make sure you pre-render it as a JPEG sequence, or any image sequence really. And that's because we're going to put this into Buju, so yeah. I'm going to put this in a folder. There we go, set extension tutorial sequence. Now I'm going to name this bench sequence and render. Okay, sweet. And okay, so while that's rendering, we should probably multitask and open up Buju. There we go. And excuse any like freezes or anything that may happen. I don't know if they're gonna happen, but you know, there's a chance that they might. So whatever. So basically, we're gonna use Buju to motion track our footage. And just a little fun fact while this thing's rendering, there's a French word that sounds like Buju, which means movement, and that's why Buju is called Buju, because it's looking up camera movement or translation. So yeah, just thought you may want to know. I don't know. Okay, so it's got like 30 more frames to chomp through. Should be done in a second though. Okay, it's pretty much done. Okay, sweet. So once that's done, just open up Buju, import your sequence. I'm just gonna use this to find it. It was in set extension sequence, and then just click the first image of your sequence as always. Of course, I already have a motion tracking tutorial on my channel. If you want to see that, move type, free move. And frame rate, make sure that matches. And only other thing you need to do is start from frame 0, not 1. Okay, and that's all good. So we have our footage in here, and we're not going to do the most complex track right now. We'll just go to auto track. Let's see. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So we'll just start auto tracking. You can always use user tracks or really whatever floats your boat. But yeah, I'll be right back once this is done tracking. Okay guys, so we have all our feature tracks on here, and there's a lot of them, which is always a good sign. You always want to kind of scrub through, make sure they're staying in the correct placement. Mine are. And once you're good with that, just go to camera solve, optimize camera path smoothness, so we get less shakiness, and it should be pretty fast. Usually the faster your solve is, usually it means the better it's doing with it, so you have a better solve. So that looks actually pretty decent. I mean, we could always patch it up a bit by going to solve adjust, turning on smoothing. I'm just go through that. This stuff really isn't necessary, but I think it actually improves the solve, like sometimes, I guess. So whatever. Again, all this stuff is on a previous tutorial on motion tracking with Buju. Buju is a pretty nice program, actually. I mean, yeah, I'm pretty much required to ramble every time I'm doing a process. But there we go. And you see it's now adjusted just a bit. Make sure it's still locked on. Okay, so we're pretty much done here. Last thing we got to do is orient our scene. So go to scene geometry. I'm going to go with the x-axis first. So just pick 2 points on the x-axis. These bricks make it pretty easy. Turn that into x-axis. Awesome. And then get something from the z-axis, which is depth. Obviously. This should work. These 2 points. Actually, no, they're a bit off. Let's pick something else. What about this one and this one? And that will be our z-axis. And technically, that's all you need. You can always add a y-axis or an origin. But you can turn on your ground plane and see if that looks correct. We'll just play through that. And yeah, that's looking pretty solid. I mean, I could always adjust it more, do a few more tricks to get it to look a bit better, or track a bit better, but I think that's actually pretty solid. So what we're going to do, we're going to export our camera solve, and then just export it into your folder of choice, I guess. Let's see, where is it? There it is. And I'm going to call it bench track. Obviously, because we're near a bench. Export type, make sure you have your program. I'm going to be using Cinema 4D for a very, very important reason. But Cinema 4D, scale scene by 100 typically is good. Okay, save that. And awesome. Now, this is just a little minor thing. If you're doing it to Cinema 4D, there's a glitch that comes with it because Buju isn't really optimized for it. So what you want to do is go to your bench track, and then you want to open it with Notepad or any text editor, not Cinema 4D. And you see we have all this data over here. And you need to change a few things. So go to replace and type in parent item and then space 1 0 0 0 0 0 0 1. Make sure that's 6 zeros. I might have put 7. No. Okay, so parent item 1 and then 6 zeros, then another one. Copy, paste, and replace it with 1 0 0 0 0 0 2, and then click replace all. And then the only other thing you have to do is go to find, type in -3.14 as in pi. Bam. And it should lead you to this area right here. Then just copy the key of a couple zeros and paste it over the -pi. Now, you might want to go back in the video to review those steps. That's just something you do to fix the Cinema 4D glitch. You could always skip this step, but it's not recommended to skip. So once you're done, just save that. And now, take the same thing and open it up with Cinema 4D. And basically what that does is it puts our points in the right place, because originally they won't be. Okay, so to import, I'm gonna scale by, I guess 10 centimeters is fine. Yeah. Okay, so now we have our sequence or project in Cinema 4D. See, if we play, we have our camera moving and we have our points on the ground. Which again, the whole text edit thing puts the points there. Okay, sweet. So now all we have to do is really set up our environment for Cinema 4D. I'm going to add a background. And I'm going to add a new texture, a takeoff specular. And basically the texture is going to be, again, find your folder. Hopefully you're better at this than I am with folders, but whatever. Basically you want to select your sequence. No, we don't want the search path. And then you want to open up the texture, go to animation, go to timing, exact frame I guess is better than calculate. And what that's going to do is instead of a stationary texture, we now have a kind of like a movie texture. So take your texture and put it on the background. And you see now we have a background and the points. And yeah. Pretty cool so far. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of make it like Minecraft-y. You can always do something else with it, but this is just what I choose to do, I guess. Yeah, and I'm going to be using Minecraft blocks. If you don't want to make them yourself, there's a link in the description for where to download them for free. And yeah, so you can just download those, use the same ones I use. So go to Content Browser once you already downloaded them. Go to Presets, and then you want to open up the Minecraft folder I gave you. And we're going to find a block we like. I'm going to use Dirt, just because Dirt's awesome. And you see, we now have a dirt block, which is pretty cool. This is pretty much a cube with texturing on it. I'm going to bump up the scale to 300 centimeters cubed. Bam. And you can always open up your null and turn off your camera so you can see it from whatever view. And I'm going to drag this below the grid or floor plane. I'm not sure if that's perfect. Let's see. Yeah, that is. And the reason we're going to do that is we're pretty much putting this under the floor because that's actually kind of what we're doing. So, yeah. Just position it where you want as well. I mean, this is really all dependent on your footage. And yeah, so I'm just going to add a few more dirt blocks. Again, you want to move them by increments of 300 because they have a length, width, and depth, or length, height, and depth, I guess, of 300. And basically what you see I'm doing here is kind of making a hole out of blocks. I mean, you don't have to do this with blocks, obviously. Really do whatever you want. I mean, your project. This is just a Minecraft-based one. You guys probably saw this effect either in my video or probably in a Corridor Digital video. They probably used the method a bit different than this, but it can't be that different. Honestly, I think this one worked a bit better than theirs. I mean, whatever. I'm not going to ramble. Okay. So there's the first layer. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a second layer. You can always make this look more natural if you have the time to. Obviously, I don't because, you know, this is a tutorial. And it seems as if I'm rambling again. I'm sorry. It's just going to happen. You know what? I'll give it a bit more complexity. This one can go another layer deep, I guess. Whatever you do, just make sure you seal up all the holes or else the effect isn't going to work. Because then you'll actually see clipping through your hole, which obviously is not good. Okay, and then just one last block here, down 300. Okay, so we have this hole of dirt blocks. Looks pretty cool. Let's go to our camera view. And you see we have a hole that kind of moves with our footage. But there is one pretty big problem. It's that you see these dirt blocks on top. I only want to see the hole. I don't want to see them on top. So, honestly, there's a few ways to fix this. I'm going to pick the fastest way and the easiest way, in my opinion, to fix it. What we're going to do is we're going to add a plane. We're going to make the length and width, I guess, 3,000 centimeters. I think that should be almost good. Yeah. And then turn your width and height segments to 10. So there's a smaller grid. And basically what you want to do then is match up your grid with your geometry. So you see I'm kind of like lining it up right here. And yeah, that's good. And then what you want to do is select your plane. Click C for edit. And then all you want to really do is select these faces, delete them, so you actually see the whole. Yeah, that's good. Go back to object mode. Then all you have to do is raise this plane by 1 centimeter. So it's technically hovering over the dirt hole, but it's not hovering too high that you're actually missing some of the dirt. So imagine this plane isn't there and we just have this hole. You see if we render this out, there's a few problems. We have this plane and we have this very dark side. And the reason for that is because we don't have a light, so just add a light to your scene. You could always match up the lighting to your actual lighting. I'm not going to do that because, again, just a tutorial. Turn on some shadows. Let's see how that looks. Okay, looks good from this angle. You always want to check all your angles. Okay, so that angle is actually a bit dark, so I'm going to just copy my light over and bring it over there. This one without shadows. See that? Okay, that's actually pretty cool. Okay, now to get rid of the plane, all we have to do is make another texture. Make sure to turn off specular. This is important. And then you want to change your color to something you can kind of green screen away or chroma key away. I wouldn't pick green because the dirt, even though it's brown, it's kind of greenish, kind of. So I'm going to pick a blue, like a pretty dark blue, and then just apply that to your plane. And if you render that out, you see we can definitely key out this blue and it will look pretty good. Okay, at this point, you're pretty much done with your animation. If you want to call it an animation, I guess we're not really animating anything except the camera. Basically, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to render settings. Most of this stuff should be right. Change your frame range to all frames, so we get all our frames. Go to save, and this is pretty much where you're going to render it to. Again, this folder stuff's tripping me up. Go to render, or whatever folder you want to, and I'm going to call this Minecraft Bench Render. And for the format, I'm going to use PNG. Technically, this isn't necessary, but I like my alpha channel. And we're going to go with 8-bit depth channel. I guess that's good. We could always add ambient occlusion just to make it look a bit better, contact shadows, but I guess it's not that important. And once you're good, all you have to do is delete your background or disable it, like I do, and then just start rendering. And you want to make sure that this is working out. While this is rendering, we can jump back into After Effects, and you can actually start to import this render, or at least the first few frames of it. We're like 20 frames into it. And we're going to overlap it here. So you see we have this blue plane. And this is very important. Cinema 4D actually changes your frame rate a bit. Like I had 29.97. You see this one is actually 30 frames. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Interpret Footage Main. And we can change our frame rate to 29.97. And this will pretty much match it up more than it did before. Let's just see how this is looking so far. So far, looking pretty good, obviously, except for the blue plane. But we'll fix that in just a second after we get a few more frames rendered out so we have a better perspective. Of course, I want to do this all live because, you know, all the excitement. You're starting to see a bit of depth over here, which is going to be really cool. Obviously, you want to make your shape look a bit more complex just because. Just for the lulz, I guess. I don't know. Because if it's just a square like this, honestly, it's kind of boring. I mean, the effect's the same, but I know it's still pretty boring. Okay, so now that we have a decent amount of frames, we're going to have to key out the blue. There's a few ways to do this. My favorite way is to, oh god, I sense a freeze coming on. I guess we'll just wait for a sec. Again, guys, really sorry for all the freezes and stuff. I can't prevent it if I'm doing all this stuff live with XSplit. Pretty much live streaming it, but for YouTube. Okay, there we go. Basically, type in any chroma key effect. I like linear color key. Drop that on there. And yeah, it already selected my blue. Let's just get a more accurate blue. Like that. And you see it's pretty much all gone except for these edges over here. And the way we fix that is change the matching tolerance just a bit. Play around with that till it's right. And you want to look at this edge. You see there's a bit of blue. You can turn on the matching softness. Not too much or else it's going to cut into your footage. I'm going to choose 35%. Okay, that's looking good. So far, if we ran preview it, I mean, it's looking pretty solid. Honestly, only thing that looks bad about it is the fact that it's just kind of like a square. I mean, yeah. Also, something that would look pretty cool is, you see it's kind of not lined up with the bricks. You might want to orient it so it's kind of like matching with the bricks so the world looks more, you know, geometric and symmetrical. But, I mean, most of you guys will probably be doing this on, like, concrete or something, not bricks. I mean, that there's pretty much the main effect, as you see. I'll play that in, not full screen, but a bigger screen. Awesome. And the last thing we're gonna do, just to, like, give you guys, like, one last tip, is do a bit of color correction. So go to levels. And we're basically going to try to match up the dirt a bit more with the scene. The way we do that, just pick a color channel. I'm going to pick red, because, you know, dirt's brown, which is pretty much red. And we want to darken this a bit. Go to blue. Blue should be pretty evident. Yeah, it is. Lighten that up a bit. Greens. Darken that up a bit. And if we go back to RGB, you see it's looking a bit weird. We can fix that. I think the problem's mainly with the blues. We can take those down just a bit. Okay, and you see there's a big difference with and without color correction. I mean, you could always change this to whatever you want. I think it looks better this way, but yeah. So there you go, guys, the basic tutorial, or pretty advanced tutorial for 3D Minecraft set extensions. I'm really sorry about my commentary, I guess. I don't know. My throat really hurts, and I'm slurring my words, so I should probably wrap this up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like below. It helps this video reach more people, and more people can use this effect. My throat really hurts, guys. I'll see you guys later. Links in the description for all the blocks, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.